The gods have always shaped the lives of mortals in ways beyond imagination, with fortunes, miracles, heaven-sent afflictions, and unexpected desires. Their quiver is full of precious gifts they aim to both reward and punish, and from their divine arrows not even lords, priests, and rulers can escape, neither the virtuous nor the wicked. One such gift was delivered in the ancient tales to the royal family of Athens, the hero Theseus, its king, his dutiful wife, the Cretan princess Phaedra, and the young prince Hippolytus, son of Theseus and the Amazon woman Hippolyta. Hippolytus was serious and silent, exceptionally reverent toward his family and devoted to a life of moral purity that abstained from worldly pleasures. Pursuing a pure soul that shunned any form of passion, he refused love and marriage, and instead dedicated his life to the virgin huntress Artemis, becoming her perfect acolyte and spending his days in the wilderness amid the hunt. From this devotion, he forthrightly rejected the goddess of love, Aphrodite, a jealous goddess, and all the carnal passions that she stood for. So Hippolytus spent his youth hunting in the vast forests, honoring day after day his beloved Artemis, and neglecting, to the point of provocation, the lady Aphrodite. But this offense was not missed or ignored by Aphrodite, and the goddess of love had been plotting the most exquisite punishment for the mortal who so dared to disgrace her. Hippolytus's father Theseus had gained renown for defeating the fearsome Minotaur on the island of Crete, and now ruled over Athens and its territories as its king. Alongside him reigned his loyal and virtuous queen, Phaedra, stepmother of the young prince Hippolytus, and it was upon the innocent wife and stepmother Phaedra that the spurned Aphrodite now fixed her vengeful gaze. Phaedra was pierced with the arrows of an unstoppable, fiery love. A love born for her own stepson, the true target of Aphrodite's wrath. Phaedra's heart was slowly, hopelessly transformed, her every breath and every thought turned toward the object of all her desires, a forbidden love within the royal family that threatened to destroy her marriage and her good name. As the tragic tale told by the Athenian playwright Euripides opens, Phaedra has become gravely sick from the passion that has flooded her, and her servants begin to worry for her life. She speaks only weakly to her nurse, but through her delirium she moans to go into the wilderness, to the deep woods and high mountains. Her nurse is bewildered by these ravings, not realizing that her desire of Hippolytus the hunter, at home in the wild realms of Artemis, is behind them. The attending women, along with the nurse, demand Phaedra to reveal the cause of her deep sorrow to them, so they can help her. And eventually, Phaedra discloses, under their pressure, that the cause of her illness is a forlorn love. A love for none other than her own stepson, the Prince Hippolytus. The women are thrown into confusion at her admission, rocked by the scandal. Phaedra goes on to reveal more about her own pain, how despite being overwhelmed by these unceasing passions, she has forced them back at every turn, waging a battle in her soul to retain her virtue and not to dishonor her husband. But now, in the depths of suffering, where not just her mind but her body can no longer bear up, she has determined to let herself die rather than give in to temptation. Reverent shame is holding her in check, and she will keep her good name even to the grave. But then her loyal nurse intervenes. Desperate that Phaedra should not allow herself to waste away, she persuades the ailing queen that to save her life, she should surrender her battle against love and give in to her powerful feelings, surely conjured by the gods. Phaedra reacts with disgust and embarrassment and commands the nurse to get rid of these shameful thoughts at once. Her nurse tries to calm her and keeps working her persuasion over Phaedra. If even the immortal gods give in to their lusts, how can we mortals be expected to do any better? And the queen ultimately agrees to receive the nurse's help. Soon enough, Hippolytus himself returns to the palace from the hunt. The nurse goes to meet him, and we now learn that Phaedra's helper had plans to intervene in the situation much more directly than her mistress had wanted. And so the story takes another turn. From her sick room, Phaedra overhears the discussion, to her horror, as the nurse approaches Hippolytus. The nurse first makes the prince swear an oath not to disclose anything she is about to tell him, and he innocently agrees to keep silent. With that oath made, the nurse proceeds to divulge the truth about Phaedra's overwhelming passion for him. And Hippolytus, the rigidly moral youth who had spurned all interest in love out of concern for his own purity, does not take the message well. Revolted by what he hears, he turns away from the nurse and cries out in rage, "Great Zeus, why have you brought men such sorrow as to put woman into this world, to dwell where the sun shines down?" He lashes out against all womankind, even so far as wishing that children could be born through offerings in a temple, rather than through the bodies of women. The nurse reminds him of the oath he swore not to speak a word of what he's heard, and he responds sarcastically that only his tongue swore the oath, not his mind, and he threatens to tell Theseus everything. Phaedra hears all of it, her heart a mixture of sorrow at losing her love and anger at his own hatred, and she knows that her future will be nothing but shame and ruin now. And so she resolves to keep her good name and destroy her enemy at the same time. And she disappears weeping into her bedchamber. But in the other room, Hippolytus's dialogue with the nurse continues. The devotee of the virgin goddess Artemis has refused all expectations of love, marriage, or household, and feels impure just for hearing about Phaedra's scandal. However, he reverses his threat and decides to uphold the oath he has made. He won't reveal any of the matter to his father, the king, and will let it stay hidden, despite his own disgust. He'll see just how they can look Theseus in the eye from now on, knowing what they've done. And with that, he leaves the nurse. But Phaedra had departed the scene before hearing these words, and death had already come to the royal family's door. Soon, the queen's lifeless body was found by her servants in her bedroom, hanging from a rope. During this time, Theseus the king had been away, and now he returns to the palace to find the servants mourning for the loss of their beloved queen. His heart broken, he demands to know what has happened, and the servants lead him to the body of his wife. Theseus is devastated at the sight, and drowns in a sea of grief. "My life should never have been lived," he cries out. "You have left me forever, like a bird flown from the palm of my hand. You dove into Hades' halls and have slain me, just as you slew yourself." He starts asking for explanations for this tragedy, and then he finds, with the body, a sealed tablet written in Phaedra's hand. He grabs it to read her last words, and his eyes go wide. In her letter, Phaedra declares that the Prince Hippolytus had attempted to rape her, and it was out of her feelings of shame for this assault that she would take her own life rather than bring dishonor on the palace. Reading this grievous charge against Hippolytus, Theseus shifts from unbearable grief to unstoppable wrath. Hippolytus enters and welcomes his father home and shares his grief for Phaedra's death, knowing nothing of the accusation her last words have leveled against him. Theseus's rage explodes as he believes the words of his wife and vents his long-held frustration with Hippolytus's self-righteousness and ascetic lifestyle. "She is dead. Do you think this will save you? This convicts you more than anything. What oaths, what pleas can carry more weight than these words?" Throughout all this, Hippolytus tries to defend himself, in vain, but still doesn't reveal anything about Phaedra and the nurse, staying true to his word to keep the matter hidden. Theseus can't be persuaded of his son's innocence, and as his anger reaches a fever pitch, he curses Hippolytus to be punished. "Father Poseidon, you once promised to fulfill 3 prayers of mine, so answer one of them now, and slay my son. Let him not escape this single day. You, be gone at once, an exile from this land, and never set foot again in god-built Athens nor any borders of my dominion. I would send you beyond the sea, beyond the bounds of Atlas if I could, so deeply do I hate you." Theseus formally banishes Hippolytus, leaving his future up to Poseidon and fate. His son sorrowfully accepts the punishment, still silent about Phaedra's lust, and leaves the palace for the seashore, where he will make ready his chariot and leave his homeland forever. Some time passes after Hippolytus's departure, when there is again tumult in Theseus's palace as a messenger arrives. He brings grim tidings of a terrible accident that befell the prince on his journey away into exile. He had barely left the boundary of the city when a massive sea beast made of water in the shape of a bull burst forth from a massive swelling of the sea, a monster born, no doubt, from Poseidon. The demonic bull scared the horses drawing Hippolytus's chariot, who strayed from the road into rocky terrain, causing the chariot's wheels to buckle and break. Hippolytus became tangled in the reins and couldn't free himself as the chariot careened through the wilderness. As the horses kept racing, Hippolytus was dragged helplessly, his body battered by rocks, cut by bushes, until he was barely left alive, bloodied and broken beyond recognition. Hippolytus was recovered, and now he rests in the palace, breathing his last. Theseus is finally moved with pity and goes to see his son, shocked by the cruel fate inflicted on his once beautiful form, a fate that Theseus himself had wished upon him, calling down the wrath of Poseidon in his anger. Theseus is plagued by conflicting feelings, and the holy goddess Artemis suddenly appears among them. She, at last, reveals the whole truth of the tragedy that befell this entire family: Aphrodite's curse of Phaedra, Phaedra's false accusation against Hippolytus. And once the truth is brought to light, Artemis again disappears to not suffer pollution by the scene of her disciples' last moments. Father and son are left alone and tearfully reconcile as Hippolytus slips away. Theseus, the great king of Athens, weeps alone. Hippolytus, Phaedra, and Theseus? Which one of them was truly responsible for the ruin that befell them all? Or does the blame lay instead with an implacable and jealous goddess, bent on punishment for the neglect of her proper worship? Do we alone, virtuous or wicked as we are, bring about our own fate? Or are there forces and causes beyond our reckoning? Perhaps we mortals are, as always, only the playthings of the gods.